Oh, yeah. Everyone's real happy then.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts. Why?
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Oh, that's a really useful invention.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. We've got news this week on a new Miss Marvel creator. We knew that the series from, Saladin Ahmed was going to be coming to an end. We've got a new Miss Marvel. It came to an end for quite a while ago. We got a new Miss Marvel coming out right in time for this October Penguin Random House stuff to come out. It is going to be written by Samira Ahmed, who's done some YA novels in the past, Love, Hate, and Other Filters, a bunch of stuff no one's ever heard of. And I just wanted to talk to my good friend Aaron Sparrow how Marvel and DC and other publishers really set these characters up for absolute failure for seemingly no reason. It feels like they're just trying to check boxes here. Obviously, here with me to talk about that is my good friend, comic book writer, editor Aaron Sparrow. How you doing?
Fantastic, Wes. Glad to be back.
It's strange. Miss Marvel, when she debuted, the sales were actually pretty good, but they've just trended down and down and down and down until they're just not very good now. And then they're just going to bring a new name that no one's ever heard of on the title and sink sales even more. What the hell's going on here, Aaron? Is Miss Marvel supposed to be important or not?
Well, I mean, it's just the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You're doing the same stunt hiring. Of course, Miss Marvel is a Muslim character, so by Marvel's current standards of racially segregating creators into, they must have the same ethnicity and the same religious background of the character that they're writing.
Sexuality,
and just the whole gamut. The whole identity politics gamut. You have to have those qualities to write this character, but your talent is secondary, or even just completely tertiary to whether or not you can. It's maddening, Wes. I mean, we've been over this 100 times. I'm not saying anything new. We all know what the game is here. It's setting the book up for failure. It's setting the character up for failure, and it's setting this creator up for failure.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of people that probably are Miss Marvel fans who will read this comic book because it's a Miss Marvel comic. But I'm finding more and more people online, that watch the videos that have come to kind of the same conclusion I do. I don't follow characters anymore. I follow creators. I find a creator I trust, and I stick with them until they've dissolved my trust. It doesn't happen all that often because I'm pretty selective on the creators that I stick with. Because we'll talk about this. This came out this week that it definitely appears that DC Comics have hinted at and will likely have Tim Drake come out as a bisexual or gay character in the very near future. I even had someone in the comments say, "I love how you're acting like you're not outraged." I wasn't outraged. It's Tuesday. A long-standing legacy character is gay. These things happen all the time, and that is one of the reasons that I don't buy into the characters anymore, Aaron, is because these creators, they have no concept of history, they have no appreciation for it, and they will just change your character at the drop of the dime, and it feels like the publishers don't really give a shit. And a lot of times I think that that's what they want them to do.
In order to be outraged, you have to care. And we've all been pushed to the point, as readers, and as fans of these characters and of these properties and of this medium, we've all been pushed to the point over the last several years to where we don't care anymore. If you had outrage at these things, you still have people that are invested. So, you can still count on them buying some things if you listen to your audience. But we've all gotten to the point now where we're so indifferent that it doesn't matter. I can walk away from any one of these characters now. I don't care anymore. I don't need comic books anymore. I used to love them so much, and they've just completely made me indifferent to them in general. And that saddens me because I want to love comics. I want to be excited about them. But the way that they keep injecting all of this into it, into their books is just maddening. And I just don't care. I've got other places I can spend my money. If I was the head of DC, and you as an editor or a writer came to me and you said, "Hey, I want to make Tim Drake bisexual," my first question would be, how does that make us money? And you would have to justify that. Tell me how that makes us money. Tell me how taking a legacy character that already has a large fan base that love him and have identified with him for years, and now you're going to change something about him to cater to a much more niche audience. Because, honestly speak, just demographically speaking, there's less people that are gay and bisexual, and there's less people that are interested in reading stories about characters that are gay and bisexual.
And just talking about marketing promotion, it feels like everyone is marketing and promoting just for that audience right now. So they're probably overwhelmed with the amount of materials heading their way.
Yeah, there's so much out there right now, and should there be books that cater to gay and bisexual readers and tell stories of those experiences? Absolutely, there should be, but it doesn't need to be every book. It doesn't need to be every mainstream book. It doesn't need to be hitting every mainstream character. It's oversaturation, and you're driving away people that just don't have the interest in reading those types of stories.
And that's why I've come to where I am. The characters. Exo Manowar is my favorite character. As soon as I saw Dennis Hopeless Hallam, his name associated with him, and he's just a bad writer, I was like, well, I guess I don't need to read that version of the series because I've already got the stuff that I enjoy. And that's how I am. So when you have somebody coming onto a Miss Marvel series like Samira Ahmed, has no name cachet, you put her on what's supposed to be a big name character, a character that's coming out in the MCU, but in video games, there are a lot of plans for Miss Marvel moving forward. This writer has no fan base coming in, absolutely being set up for failure. And I have no trust or faith in the writer. And a lot of people are going to feel the exact way. And like we just talked about, I can walk away from any character sight unseen without a problem. I walked away from Rick Grayson. I don't have to read Exo Manowar. When a Rise series came out that I didn't think was doing the character justice, I just didn't read it, even though they're my favorite characters.
I've walked away from the X-Men multiple times. I've dipped back in when it seems like something interesting was going to happen, and I liked House of X and Powers of X. I thought that things were being set up that would be interesting, and then it went nowhere, and I got out. I just walked away again. I was like, okay, fine. You tricked me. You got me. You got me for, some stories. You got some of my money, but I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back to this series. And the next time you do some big relaunch, like, Planet-Size X-Men, guess what? I don't care. You can fool me once, maybe you can fool me twice. But after a while, I just become so indifferent and so just absolutely, just it doesn't affect me anymore. I don't care. I can go buy the action figures and get that little charge of the fact that I love Wolverine, so here's my Wolverine action figure. And that's all I need anymore. I don't need your stories. I don't need you ruining the characters I love. I don't need Shadowcat becoming Kate and becoming a mean-spirited, hard-assed character. I like Shadowcat, so I'll just go back and I'll collect the things that have the Shadowcat that I liked, which is why you see the back issue market exploding. Not only, there's speculators, of course, that are diving in, to make money, but there's also fans that are just buying up the things that they love because they want to feel that love of the characters again, and they're not getting it from current Marvel editorial or the writing staff. The thing with Miss Marvel that boggles my mind is that first story was fun, and Miss Marvel seemed like a character. But the larger problem is this push for representation brings a lot of baggage with it. For example, when a character becomes representative, they can no longer be a character. They have to be just
can't
perfect.
Have faults.
Perfect. They can't have faults. They can't have faults. They can't have flaws because then, you're saying that because this character is representative.
That's commentary on the entire group.
Yeah, every person in this group. And it's like, no, this character is...
Even if it's the villain, Aaron. Even if it's the villain.
Yeah, even if it's the villain. I remember when they had the big hullabaloo when the writers left Batwoman because DC didn't want her to get married. And so they left the book, and Mark Andreyko came on. And Mark Andreyko is a gay man, and he was writing her with flaws, and people were freaking out. And they freaked out because he broke up her relationship with Maggie Sawyer. So everybody was screaming online. And I remember thinking to myself, he actually broke up their relationship. Yes, but he did more with Kate. In that moment, she showed more heroism in that moment. She did it for the right reasons. She did it to protect Maggie's relationship with her daughter. There was like an altruistic reason that she did it. And it was actually a really good character moment and gave her a certain moral fiber. And people just completely glossed past that because, you did this, you broke up the representation. And it was like, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, but gay and lesbian relationships don't work out all the time, just like straight relationships don't. It's not all pie in the sky. You have to tell stories about characters that have some ground, even though these are fantastic, worlds and superheroes and people that are like gods, you still have to have those human flaws and those human moments that connect them to us. and representative characters are not allowed to have that. So I don't have any faith that this Miss Marvel book will be anything other than another failure.
Because they're putting a talent on there that's completely unknown. Juxtapose that with what's happened to Ram V. Gets it started out, I believe, at Aftershock. Then he gets a pretty cool book there at Vault Comics, These Savage Shores. Gets some acclaim. He gets a little small writing gig on Justice League Dark, where I think he did 8 issues of that little trial run. Got some backup stories, and now he's the Catwoman writer. He got to do Future State Swamp Thing. Now he's doing a limited edition Swamp Thing writer, and he's building himself up to a major character. And by the time he gets there, he's going to have a fan base ready for him, and that's going to be more excited than ever to see Ram V writing whoever, whether it's not going to be Nightwing because it's Tom Taylor, but you know what I'm saying? Whether it's Aquaman or whatever, he's going to have worked his way up there by just using this pegboard method that Marvel loves and DC is starting to love even more, where they're just slotting people in whether or not they've earned their way up there. They're just setting up these titles for absolute failure.
Because none of the audience cares about these things. They care about it because they get to pat themselves on the back and say, oh, look at how wonderfully progressive we are. But it's actually regressive because you are casting writers. You're not hiring them based on talent. You know, if you hire based on talent, the cream is going to rise to the top, and you're going to get people from every, ethnic group that's going to come in okay, so just take, for example, Darkwing. James and I are doing that book. Our colorist, Andrew Dahlhaus, we didn't hire him because he was black. We hired him because he was the best. Our letterer, Darren Bennett, also black. Not hired because he was black, hired because he's the best. We wanted the best people on the book. My assistant editor has a disability. I didn't hire her because she had a disability. I hired her because she is an amazing editor and she gives great notes. So if you just hire people based on merit, you'll still get natural diversity. But you'll also have talent to go along with it. I'm so frustrated right now. I'm like tripping over my words because it's like I'm so tired of this, and I'm tired of them just watering everything down and then wondering like, where did the readers go? Why aren't we making any money? Comics are in trouble. It's like, well, you've been telling people if you don't like your politics to not read your books, and they've been saying okay, and then you have been hiring people who don't have the talent, or maybe they do have the talent but it's not developed yet, and you're certainly not helping them. So what do you expect?
Did you see that Marvel accidentally, they didn't hire a Muslim to write Miss Marvel for it's like a kid's graphic novel. Let me find the name of it. I think I have the article up here. It's
she's
Miss Marvel Stretched Thin. Did you see that?
Yeah, she said she was like a Christian writer or something like that, or
her name's Nadia Seamus. She's Palestinian, but she's Palestinian Christian. I think Marvel just didn't realize that you could be Palestinian Christian. They just assumed that she filled the right boxes. But have you ever seen this person's Twitter feed?
No, I think I've heard about it, but I've never.
It's the most anti-Semitic thing I've ever seen in my life.
But that's okay.
Some of the
that's okay as far as these people are concerned.
You wouldn't think so because a lot of the head people at Marvel and Disney are Jewish. But this lady just kind of gets away with it, and she says the most cringy, absolutely insane shit, and gets free reign on it. And you're like, why is this person writing a graphic novel for fucking 8-year-olds? This person is fucking insane.
If you have a certain identity, you just get a pass on being hateful. It's unbelievable. I haven't read this woman's Twitter account, so I haven't verified it myself. But just going with what you're telling me, it's unbelievable. Like, why would you hire an anti-Semite? Why would you hire somebody who hates any race? Why would you hire a racist of any stripe? But
and why would you put him on a kid's book? And why is the book still coming out? I'm sure they've seen these things. It's absolutely insane. And my favorite part was they accidentally hired a Christian. They didn't realize that a Palestinian could be Christian. I'm guaranteeing that one, Aaron.
Well, of course not, because they were probably recommended by an assistant editor who is fresh out of college and knows jack shit about absolutely nothing. Just has a bunch of indoctrination. Into cultural affairs and the way to view the world, and the way to view the world is through skin color, and skin color means you're Palestinian, you're brown, that means that you're a Muslim. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because Islam is not a nationality, it's a belief system.
Yeah, it's crazy, and Marvel just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over. And to the people like, I know you're beside yourself and you're outraged about this Tim Drake thing. No, I'm really not. I could care less. I can avoid Tim Drake easier than I can avoid most characters. He's not in anything anyway. He's pretty unimportant as far as the big scheme of things. And like I said, it's Tuesday. It's just another announcement of some bullshit. And that's why I've taken you find the writers you like, you stick with them, and you hope that the good artists come along with it.
Yeah, you hope that you find a writer who writes the type of stories that you're interested in, and hopefully they stick to it and keep sticking the landing, and you just follow them. Yeah, I don't need any of these characters anymore. I don't need any of them in my life. It's really it's sad in a way because they've been such a huge part of my life, and I've cared about these things so much. And if I was given the opportunity to write something like that, like if somebody wanted to hire me to do something like that, I would put in the work, and I'd be like, what's going to get the fans of this character going? What is the core of this character? What is it that everybody loves? That's not the important.
It's what demographic does this character represent, and can we find someone that also represents those demographics so that we could say that we got a sympathy reader or whatever it is, as they can say, and we've done nothing offensive with the character or also nothing interesting with the character.
Yeah, it's like people are always asking me like, hey, if you could write a Marvel character, what would it be? Who's your favorite Marvel character? And I say my favorite Marvel character is Captain America. And they're like, would you want to write Captain America? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd rather write Captain Marvel. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'd rather write Captain Marvel or like Miss Marvel. And they're like, well, why? And I said, because I would love to see if I could challenge myself to make them interesting. I'd love to see if I could challenge myself to make them sell. I could certainly sell a Captain America book. I know that because he's already a great character. There's plenty of things to play with. But the current version of like Kelly Sue DeConnick's Captain Marvel, not a good character, terrible character, and a fascist who locked up people without due process and has never suffered any kind
of killed Miss Marvel and the other characters around him when she recruited him in to start imprisoning innocent people.
Yeah, and Miss Marvel was a little Nazi brown shirt for Carol Danvers, and they've never had any kind of repercussions because of that. Because of course they can't, because they're representative characters. So even though they acted like villains, and should have some comeuppance, that's never going to happen. And so again, you can't tell a compelling story. It's like you've been written into a corner by bad writing.
Big handcuffs on you.
How do you write yourself out? Well, you can't. You just have to ignore it and pretend like everything's fine.
Definitely would have. Sorry.
You could do it. You could do a Captain Marvel story that's kind of like Hal Jordan or Green Lantern Rebirth, where you have to explain why she was a fascist. The easiest way out of that, she was a Skrull the whole time. But we haven't. And you know what? The Kelly Sue DeConnick version of Captain Marvel has been a Skrull the whole time. Would fix so many problems with that character, and you could bring back the Carol Danvers that was fun and that was interesting. And actually,
you would have to admit she did something wrong, Aaron. I don't think that's allowed.
Well, you don't have to if it's the Skrull. I mean, of course it's wrong, but it wasn't Carol, so it doesn't matter. It was a villain. It was a villain the whole time, which is what the current version of Carol Danvers is, based on those actions. I have friends who are big, just big supporter of like female characters in general. A friend of mine whose favorite character the last couple of years is Jane Thor. He just loves Jane Thor, and he dropped Captain Marvel because he was like, he was reading Captain Marvel at the time, and he dropped it because he was like, she's a damn Nazi. She's a villain. I'm not reading this.
It's crazy stuff. Definitely want to hear from the viewers. Like, who are the writers that you're following? And if we're full of shit, if you're like, no, I'm still with the characters, let us know that too. I can tell you right now, if Robert Venditti, if Peter J. Tomasi, Chip Zdarsky, as long as it's big two, because if you go to some of his indie stuff, you might see like some fairy dicks or something weird. Chip, when he's on indie stuff, goes a little too fucking far with some stuff. But Donnie Cates, a lot of those creators, Ray M. V, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Daniel Warren Johnson, those are kind of the creators I stick with. And you know what? I'm happy. For the most part, I read good comics. Who are some of those creators for you, Aaron? What are the writers that you think have really got it right now?
I actually, on the big two stuff, I think Chip Zdarsky is really good. And agree with you on Robert Venditti. I think that pretty much everything that I've read from him, I've enjoyed. I'm liking Tynion right now. Of course, his Batman run is salvaged Batman from the dregs of the Tom King issues. And that terrible run that we all had to endure. I think his horror stuff is fantastic. Nice House on the Lake was a little bit it started out a little slow for me, but I'm interested in seeing where it goes. Like he's built up enough cachet with me that, you know, if you've got a story that I'm like, this isn't clicking with me right away, I'll still stick with it a little while to see if he brings it around, because he's established that sort of trust. So yeah, I think that reading, you know, based on creator as opposed to based on character is the way most people are going now. I see people dropping books. You know, it's like, yeah, they've been collecting, say, Iron Man, but then, Dan Slott's on Iron Man, I'm all done. You know, they back out, take it off their pull list. So I think that,
and I'm a lot less trusting than I used to be. It don't take much to do a Tim Sheridan and get on my never buy again list.
What did now I'm curious. What did Tim Sheridan do?
His future state was it Teen Titans or Titans Academy stuff. It was just awful, really bad stuff.
I haven't read them, but I know I can't move them. So,
well, you should be able to. They suck. No, it only takes a couple of mistakes nowadays for me, because I don't have the patience. Like I said, it's a Tuesday. Another comic writer shat the bed, and I don't have. Comics are too expensive for me to be speculating on whether or not you can write a fucking decent story nowadays.
Well, you know, the interesting thing too is that you can retcon these characters' sexualities into into LGBT identities, but you can't ever retcon them back out. So, you know, Alan Scott, when they did the New 52, they made Alan Scott gay.
Well, that was Earth 2 Alan Scott. It wasn't.
But isn't the current Alan Scott gay now? Like they had to go and retcon him in Green Lantern 80. Yeah, so you have now he has to be gay forever, even though he spent the majority of the time that he was a character of being straight. And what's interesting is he already had a gay son in Obsidian, so you kind of erased that character, or you kind of like complicated that. It was like, well, I don't understand what the point of that was. Like, you already had a character who'd been gay all along that people had identified with and liked. Obsidian, well, never the most popular character. People liked him, and he could have been. This is why,
Aaron. This is why they wanted a gay Green Lantern. Alan Scott wasn't being used. You could do that. You won't outrage an enormous amount of people, but you can still say you did it.
I got an idea. Why don't you introduce a new Green Lantern? Let's say
we have enough Green Lanterns, Aaron. Come on.
No, well, I mean, but look, Simon Baz could have been introduced as gay, Muslim and gay. Then you're really pushing the envelope. Then you really got some stories to tell. But they're not going to do that because that's going to be controversial in the way that they don't like.
Yeah, that one probably wouldn't go over well. So, hey, guess what? I know you're shocked, Aaron. The new Miss Marvel series has already been set up for failure because they put on a creator no one's ever fucking heard of.
And no one cares about
Miss Marvel. And they keep doing it over and over, and it feels like it's another, I'll call it what it is. It's a diversity hire.
Miss Marvel should be a new warrior. She shouldn't have her own book. She's proven that she can't carry her own book. She's always running at a deficit. It's a book that they basically put out there at a loss, and just they keep doing it. I don't understand. Like,
she's headlining video games. She's going to be a big part of the MCU moving forward.
That Avengers video game with starring her, man, that did gangbusters, didn't it? Oh wait, no, it was a complete failure.
It did all right until people played the game and the word got out.
Yeah, no, they lost millions and millions of dollars on that game. And
because no one played it afterwards and they asked for refunds.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to affect Square Enix's Guardians of the Galaxy game, because I see they've got that up for pre-order, and I already see people going, I'm not pre-ordering it after that last Avengers game. So not only did Miss Marvel kill what should have been a very popular Avengers game, but now she's gone on to hurt the Guardians of the Galaxy as well, and she's not even in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Aaron, I do want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Do you have any final words before we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, I do actually. Once a property gets a stink on it, it's really hard to wash that stink away. And I think that Miss Marvel is a character that deserved better. I think all of these characters have deserved better, and then they're given by the lazy and repetitive attempts of Marvel to get a positive article on Slate.com to be applauded by people who don't read comics.